Okay, this is it. This is probably the last set of video. I don't know, maybe not. Might be the last set of videos that I'm going to be making for advanced algebra for this year. It's kind of a sad moment for us all, I know. But time to move on. Okay, we are going to be learning how about solving radical equations right here. And your goal is to be able to just get all these different ways that you could see radical equations and figure out methods for solving them. That's your goal by the end of this lesson right here. So let's start off with a basic one right here. I'm going to kind of talk you through the steps for solving a radical function just like the one right here. Step number one is to isolate. Watch, I'm not going to screw up this time. Isolate the radical on one side. What is a radical, you might say? Well, this is the radical you've been dealing with. And you might have a 3 there, or a 4 there, or a 5 there, or 6, 7, 8, and up to infinity. But that's what the radical is. You want to get one of those radicals on one side of the equation by itself. So what I mean by that is you only have stuff underneath it. You might have an x plus 2 or 3 or whatever that symbol is I put up there underneath it. Okay, but you won't have like a plus 2 on the outside or multiplied it by a 1/2. You got the radical totally by itself. That's the first step. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have here. Let's do that first step. We got 2. The square root of x plus 5 is equal to 8, and we want to get that radical by itself. Well, if you notice that it's almost by itself. The only thing that's happening to it that's not by itself is just 2 is being multiplied by it. And how do you undo multiplication with 2? Well, you divide. You're going to divide both sides of this equal sign by 2. And when I do that, what I'm going to get is the square root of x plus 5 is equal to, well, what's 8 divided by 2? Well, that's just 4. There you go. So now we got the radical by itself. So we took care of step 1 right up here. We can check that one off. How'd that feel? Be done with that one, huh? Now we're going to work on step 2. Step 2 is to square now each side of the equation. So, excuse me, we're going to square each side of this equation right here. So I'm going to square this, the whole thing. I'm going to square the whole thing, everyone. We're going to square this whole thing at one time, square it. Okay. So the idea behind this is if one side is equal to the other side, if you square one side and you square the other side, you're still going to have something that's equal to each other. So once I square both sides, what happens, what's nice if that happens, is the reason I square it, and the reason we're squaring it, and I put quotations around the square, is it could be raise it to the third or fourth. This is to the second power right here, so I'm going to square it to cancel these two things out. So on the left side now, I just have an x plus 5. But what's on the right side? What's 4 squared? Well, 4 squared right here is 16. And so I'm at this point right now. And now it's just a battle between you and solving this. So we got to get this x by itself. Right now 5 is being added to it. So I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides of the equal sign. Make sure I keep this equation balanced. And I have x is equal to 11. And there is my solution. Or is it? Oh, we got to figure out if it is. You got to always check these. Check your solution. So here's how you check your solution. You got to take this solution, and you need to plug it back into your x right there. That x at that point. So let's do that. I got my 2 times the square root, and now my x is now 11 plus 5 is equal to 8. Oh, this is looking good. So let's figure out what this is. What is the square root of 11 plus 5? Let's just kind of work our way down. So we have 2 times the square root of 16 equals 8. Let's see if this is true. What's the square root of 16? Last I checked, that was 4. I don't think it's changed since the last time I checked. So I think it's still 4 is equal to 8. And we have 8 is equal to 8. Now, is this true? Is 8 equal to 8? Well, you say to yourself, of course it's true, Mr. Benson. Why you ask that? And you put true here. And because it is true, then you know that 11 was the correct answer for this. So these are the steps that you want to take to go about solving this type of problem. Oh, I forgot. I didn't check off this list. So we squared each side of the equation. We solved for the variable, and we checked our solution. So we went through everything needed to do to make sure we know that the solution to this is x equals 11. In this next part, I'm going to show you how to solve something when we have 2 radicals on each side. And these radicals aren't just squared. Check this out. They're to the third power. What? You gotta be kidding me. See you in a little bit.